We're One Direction. Nice to meet you all. Thank you so much.
A fan is defined by Oxford's dictionary as a person who has a strong interest in or admiration for a particular person or thing. Since the start of pop music, there have always been people who are enthusiastically devoted to their favourite band or artist. I want to find out how the relationship between fan and star has changed, especially with regards to social media and modern technology. So this is a topic that I personally have a lot of interest in because I've been a pop fan my whole life. It started when I was about 2 with the Spice Girls, and then I've also been a fan of Busted, McFly, and now One Direction. So I want to use that and connect my personal experiences and opinions to what's already been observed about fandom. So the aim of this research project is to explore pop fandom and really what it means to be a pop fan now. I also want to look at why someone might become a pop fan and explanations for that. A lot of people have written academically and attempted to explain why someone might become a pop fan, so I wanted to look at that, and also the fan-star relationship and how this has evolved, especially with regards to modern technology. I'm going to be conducting a series of interviews with experts and music enthusiasts. I'm also going to be analysing some fan activity and behaviour, and I'm also going to be doing a series of autoethnographic video diaries. So far I've interviewed Doug Lyon, a lifelong music fan and a senior media lecturer at Brighton University, and Rhys Davis, who is a very dedicated Beyonce fan and a student at Brighton University. So I'm going to start off with looking at fan behaviour and the nature of fandom, really what this is and how it's changed over time.
I don't think superfans are new. I don't think it's a new thing. I think that happened with Elvis. It happened with the Beatles, it happened with the Bay City Rollers, it happened with Take That. There's a long history, as long as popular music has been around, of people going bonkers to it. I mean, look at Elvis fans, that was the 50s. Look at the Beatles fans, that was, 60s. Or the Stones. So I think there's different types of super fans. I think the tricky thing is what you're looking at is a behaviour which is regarded as somehow not quite genuine.
I mean, I've always grown up listening to Beyonce, literally since I was about 3. My first concert was a Beyonce concert, and that was about 12 years ago. And my last concert was a Beyonce concert, and that was 2 years ago. So it just kind of shows how popular she actually is, and following her for all that time is actually quite inspiring that she's still so popular. In the internet day and age, fans do get a bad rep, but there are loads of people that are kind of doing it to themselves, ruining it for everyone else. I think it's more about social media and things like that. You can watch a video and then you'll just kind of scroll down to see people's opinions, and if someone disagrees, they'll be telling the other person to kill themselves and things like that, and it's really not that deep. I'm quite defensive about my Beyonce, but I'm not going to tell anyone to end their lives over it. I'll kind of fight my point, and if someone has a genuine argument that they have, then I can appreciate that.
So what about the relationship between fan and star? Horton and Wall talk about it as being parasocial, which means a one-sided relationship that's a superficial illusion of a face-to-face relationship. And this happens from the fan engaging with the star by admiring their music and listening to their music and consuming that. Arguably, that relationship is two-sided because the star is giving back to the fan music and that's their input to the relationship, but they're giving music to all the fans, not just that one individual fan, so it really is one-sided. And this really interests me because I think it's very easy to feel personally as a fan that you have a relationship or a connection with the star that you're admiring, either because you are connecting with the music, or maybe when you've seen them live you felt like you had a connection, or now with social media, you have so much more access. You can tweet them, they could potentially tweet you back. So the dynamic of the fan-star relationship is very interesting and ever-changing, really.
Right into I don't know, say like 79, 80, you might not have necessarily even seen your favourite band play on the telly, let alone in real life, let alone know what they liked. You know, if you didn't, there used to be 4 music papers. There used to be NME, Sounds, Record Mirror, NME, Sounds, Melody Maker, Record Mirror, 4 music papers every week, all different, and as well as other things like Look In and Smash Hits and sort of more sort of teeny things, which were all posters that went on the wall. But you were looking at a poster of a photograph of somebody that you'd heard the song, but you didn't know anything about them, nothing. So it wasn't really till the punk thing happened that I started to take notice of who's playing that music, what do they think about life, do I think like that? Oh yeah, I think I probably do.
I think that Beyonce is kind of a celebrity in their own sense, is kind of on her own level. So like she doesn't use Twitter, like she uses Tumblr and Facebook for like photos and things like that, but you don't really know what she's doing in her personal life unless she's actually showing you, which I think is really cool. So as a fan, like when she released her last album, kind of everyone knew she was doing something, but they didn't know like when it's going to come out, if it was going to come out like in that year or anything. And so as a fan, when it kind of just was released unexpectedly, it was really exciting. So that's like, even though I've been following her for so long, like she's still doing so many things that are like new and innovative and exciting. So I think like that's like a good relationship to have with someone that you've been following for like such a long time.
So what we know is that the parasocial relationship's always been there, because there's always been the fan to consume the artist's music, and therefore that's their side of the relationship. But now with the advancement of technology and social media, it's more about access. You have fans have so much more access to the stars that they admire, and arguably this is making them more obsessed, because the more access they have, or they feel they have, it's kind of fueling their fandom in a way. Media representations of fans often like to use words like stalker and things that have that connotation. And I'm not sure whether that's because that's the way they actually are, or because what's written in the media about fans is a reflection of what society as a whole is scared about. In the 1960s, a lot of the media representations of fans would write about them as being groupies or being sexually promiscuous, because society wanted to repress female sexuality. And now, with the internet and so much access to everybody online, there's kind of a fear around data. So by describing fans as being stalkerish, maybe that's a reflection of society's kind of wider concerns. So I've discussed the nature of fan behaviour and also the fan-star relationship, but I wanted to ask the question of what the word fan actually means, and trying to define that.
In terms of like the word fan, how would you define that? Like, what does the word fan mean to you?
See, I think that's actually such a good question, because like, say a song was popular and you just really like that song, it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna go and find other songs by that same artist. I think if you're a fan, you're interested in a lot more than in what they're doing. Like, you like their music, like say if they're in a film, you might watch the film just because they're in it, things like that. That's what I feel like being a fan is. You're kind of more involved in the things that they do and the things that they put out. Not necessarily their personal life, but all the things that they're putting out, you want to kind of be involved in that.
Anytime I loved a band, having no money, no friends that wanted to go, any of that made no difference to me anymore. I would hitchhike there if I had to. I'd get in even if I didn't have a ticket. I'd find a way of getting in. It wasn't available not to go. I loved it too much. And I think that's what being a fan meant for me. It was like, there's very few things in life that will make you get out of bed on a rainy day with no money, not really feeling like it, and get up and do something like hitch across the country to get somewhere, the first thing that you haven't even got a ticket for. that's like, you only do that if you really fancy somebody or it's a band that you love. I can't think of anything else that I'd do that for, or a combination of those two, obviously.
So in this first cut, I've kind of sketched out the areas of fandom that I want to study. But from doing it, I've realised that I think I want to focus more on specifically the relationship between fan and star. I think trying to explore pop fandom so broadly, it's not focused enough, and I think that it's the nature of the relationship what really interests me and what I want to focus on more in my final video. There's also been some issues that have emerged from doing these interviews and doing my research that I think are really relevant and really interesting, that I want to talk about more in my final video. So for example, gender issues, and why is it that it's more young girls who get so obsessed with these pop stars and pop bands, and I think, yeah, gender comes into it a lot. So that's what I wish to do in my final video, and obviously get a few more interviewees. I'd like to interview somebody who studies fan studies and writes about it, and also hopefully a musician to kind of get an opposing point of view and hear from it from the other side.